Hi there, today I'm going to show you how to do what we call a virgin application going lighter. So I want you to think about this client. We're going to pretend that this client has never had their hair colored before, and we're going to go super light. So we're going to use lightener. If we do that, if we use lightener or a high lift color on natural hair and just put it from roots to ends, what's going to happen is we're going to get what we call hot roots. Hot roots are when it gets brighter at the root. And the reason why it does that is because on a real person, they have heat coming out of their head. And what it does is it processes it more quickly. So then you get a brighter root at, for about a ½ inch from the scalp. So when we do a virgin application going lighter, it's actually one of the hardest applications to do as a hairstylist. And I'm gonna show you how I teach my class how to do it. So first we're going to start with our 4 quadrants. If you want to know how to section the hair properly, you can check out my video on how to section hair. Okay, so I've got my quadrants. I'm going to start on this one here. So hair is naturally darker at the back of the head. And if we're going lighter, we want to start our application at the back so that it has more time to process where it's darker. We also have lighter hair and it's more fine in the front, so it tends to grab color a lot quicker. So for this application, I'm actually going to start from the bottom. You'll see a lot of tutorials. Some people will use foil in between. Some people will use cotton in between. I find that I've never really had to do that. So I'll show you how I do it. So first I mix my color or lightener a bit thicker. So lightener, it's easier to make it thicker. Color is just color. But I'm using practice color today, so this is just conditioner, cornstarch, and acrylic paint. So I decided to make it a teal color so that you can see it properly on the head. Okay, so let's get started. I want you to check as I'm sectioning how I'm keeping it horizontal. We're working around a rounded surface, but a lot of times new stylists, they start kind of going diagonal or they start kind of curving their sections. You need to be able to keep it horizontal around the head. So just pay attention to that as I'm going. Okay, so in real life, what you're gonna do is you're gonna apply your color from about a ½ inch to the end of the hair. But when I'm teaching students, that's just a waste of product and time. So what I do is I place it about a ½ inch here, and I just bring it down like this. Now this section is very small because it's at the nape of the neck. But what you want to do is you kind of want to shift it so that it's kind of being held out at 90 degrees from first the middle, then the side, and then the side here. You're going to see it more on the larger sections, is that if you just hold it 90 degrees from the middle of the section, it actually goes wider at the sides. And what's going to happen is you're going to have, if your root is too big, let's say, and then afterwards you go through and you touch up the root, you're going to have the perfect color, then you're going to have a band of darker color, and then the perfect color. So you need to have it at 90 degrees there. So you can use the back of your brush or you can use your clip to section your next piece. I've got a frizzy client here. Okay, so you can kind of see that a little bit more right here. You can see that it's farther at the root, at the hairline, and from my section line there. So again, 1, 2, okay, hopefully that teal is showing up there, and then 3. So again, you would go all the way to the end, but when I'm marking my students' applications, I just want to see that they can have a consistent application at the root. So I'm holding that straight out. Apply your color, and then apply your color. And you can kind of see it's a little bit, it's kind of like rounding with the head there. So I'll talk about a couple different applications like as we go. And on one section, I'm gonna make a few mistakes that I see hair students make, and I'll kind of teach you how to correct those mistakes if you find that you're making those same things. So one reason I'll talk about the product, like the process and why I don't use foils. If your product is thick enough, you're not gonna have leaks. Some people use foils just so that they don't have those leaks, and it keeps it organized for when you have to touch up the root. But I find it takes a lot more time, and it takes, like it's just a waste on the environment kind of using those products. So it's money out of your pocket as well. Cotton, that's a normal one to use. That's kind of like the classic way of doing it. I find that cotton gets stuck in the hair. And if you're wondering like, what do you mean cotton? Hairstylists have like actual strips of cotton that they can kind of put in between each section. I'm not brushing it down or anything. I'm just kind of letting it drop in place. And I'm continuing on here. So notice my sections are not getting rounded. They're staying exactly where they need to be. If you have a more liquidy product, you might want to start a little bit farther, kind of wipe off the excess product that you have and then go closer so that you don't end up having leaks at the root. Okay, so now we are working with the front of the head. We're gonna do things the exact same way. I'm gonna take horizontal sections. This side of the head is more flat, so it should be easier to get an even application across the whole section. And remember that you want to go all the way to the end with your application. Unless you're doing a color correction, in which case you've got a bunch of different colors. But again, on this type of application, you are actually going to be doing this on somebody, most likely somebody who has just natural hair and they've decided to go super light and they want it all over. However, most of the time I would recommend highlights. But this is a more dramatic look. So if this is what your client wants, they just want one even light color, then this is the service that you're going to be giving them. Now, let's say in 5 to 6 weeks, what do? Their hair has grown out. They need, at this point, you're not doing this service anymore. You are doing a root touch-up. If you want to know how to do a root touch-up, you can check out my video. I'll provide the link below. Okay, so when I'm marking, I will kind of hold it up here. Okay, hopefully you can see this with the teal color in there. So when I'm marking my students' applications, I kind of use my tail comb and run it along like the line that I see. So here I actually got a little bit too close, right here and right here. But you basically want to see an even ½ inch all the way along. Then what I do, let's see if we can see that, is open it up, and you want to see that even application. So again, you're going to kind of hold that up from there, and you're going to say, oh, yep, I do have an even kind of ½ inch there. I tend not to look too much at the bottom when I'm marking my students' work, unless they're grade 12, or in actual hair school. But I teach grade 10 to 11, so if it's their first application, I kind of consider the bottom their kind of mistake area. It's like their practice area. And then if they improve from there, then I kind of take a look at that, right? So I'm just kind of looking through all of there. Now, in this section here, This is the section that we ignored earlier. Oh, and I still didn't even do too bad of a job. So sometimes what happens is here we have a 1/2 inch, so a little over a centimeter, and here it's like a little bit further. Let's kind of see the other hairline here. Right, so I took some larger sections. So if your sections are too big, you're gonna see like color and then dryness, and then color and then dryness, color and then dryness. So that's if you're taking your sections a little bit, your subsections a little bit too wide. And then notice how far it is. It's supposed to be about a centimeter or 1/2 inch, and my line is more over here. So what's gonna happen is when you do your root touch-up, the heat only goes to about here. So you're gonna get a nice light blonde, and then you're gonna get kind of a darker blonde, and then you'll have your light blonde after that. So you wanna take smaller sections, and you want to make sure that you're really getting to that 1/2 inch from the head. But other than that, you just wanna get consistent, make sure that you're evenly applying your product everywhere and that your sections are nice and small. This is a very difficult service to provide because you have to be quick. So it's not really great for new hairstylists, especially if you take a lot of time to do stuff, and in which case it's a better idea to tell your client to get highlights instead. And you can do a lot of highlights and really lighten it up and it'll look a lot better. So this is how we do a virgin application going lighter. I hope that I've answered all of your questions, and yeah, leave a comment below and let me know how you do your virgin applications going lighter. Until next time.